Alexandrov.
Hello. How you guys doing? You guys awake? You good?
We ready?
All right.
Here we go.
Kick that, DJ.
Play that track.
Oh, we got smoke too.
Yes, play the smoke, baby.
Turn it up.
Woo!
Up. Gang, gang. Robots are coming. Woo! There we go. Yeah.
Get it.
Let's go.
Y'all ready for them robots or what?
Virtual, expanding, learning, autonomous system. Virtual, expanding, learning, autonomous system.
Welcome to the new age, new wave. Crypto on the front page while you late. Yeah, we talking proof of stake, consensus, algorithm. That's how I bought this big ass house I live in. I'm bad. So I told my boss to beat it. Now it's robes and MJ socks. Orthopedic. Velas, yeah, we scale it up and get it. AI robots never lie to kick it. That's matrix calculating every digit. I'm Neo dodging X's when they visit. I got a pool that only whales swim in. They begging me to invite all the women. Stop hating on a delegate. I might sell a bit. You mad cause you sell a bit. Got a master note, nah, I ain't selling it. And if you nodding your head, you should probably go get some. Velas, I've been trying to tell you we stacking VLX, don't be jealous. Don't be mad. Velas, I've been trying to tell you it's raining coin, you better get your umbrellas. It's raining. Velas, I've been trying to tell you we stacking VLX, don't be jealous. You can get it. Velas, I've been trying to tell you it's raining coins, you better get your umbrellas. God damn, we're rich.
It all makes sense, the vision's clear. Everything's connected, it's a new frontier. Fiat's dead, crypto's here. Gotta stack VLX, the future's near. Artificial intuition, robot you cannot train. Damn universe, it's a blockchain. Soon everyone will listen to what I'm saying.
Whoa, you alright, man?
My bad, bro, I just don't know what came over me.
Velas.
Hey, let me introduce to you the creator of robots himself.
Alex.
The founder of Velas, Alexandrov.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody.
I love you, blockchain. I love you guys.
So yeah, my name's Alexandrov. I am founder of CoinPayments.net and now the founder of Velas AG out of Zug, Switzerland. And we're here to tell you about our amazing project. So what we're doing here is actually combining artificial intuition, which is a term that we coined after the idea of having a dynamic consensus on the blockchain, which allows us to have artificial intelligence actually analyzing users' activity, nodes' activity on the blockchain, and then propose its own smart contract consensus, and then people inside the wallet will vote for it and confirm if they like it or not. And if after a while, the suggestions coming up from the AI getting better and more precise and actually noticeable improvement on the system, then they can just say auto approve, and then the blockchain will just continue evolving on its own without actually human interaction. So I guess in some way we can say that what we're doing is we're trying to take people out of the equation of running the blockchain itself. So how many people here seen the show Star Trek, by a show of hands? Anyone knows of Star Trek? Yeah, any Trekkies in here? All right, so there's a few things that in the future Star Trek got wrong, right? In my opinion, and I think there's a lot of people that share that opinion. One of them is you don't need to fly a spaceship, like with a crew. Why? Like you can autonomously drive cars, and in the future we're talking about that those ships would be operating fully autonomously. It would probably be better if people didn't touch those controls. And the same way as phasers, they shoot everybody with these phasers. You don't need to aim them, when in the future. Like if you have smart weapons now that you can shoot back and then hit the guy in the front with the bullet making all the waves around. With a phaser, that should be easy. So you don't need to aim at all. Let the computers do what they're good at, and let them compensate for the things that we suck at as people. And we suck at a lot of things in large groups of people. Like when it comes to making decisions, we slow down when there's more people in the room. And then reaching some sort of agreements and making quick decisions. Your computers just kind of do it way better than people could. So self-driving cars, like Tesla is working on this right now, and there's a lot of other manufacturers around the world that are car manufacturers who are working on the same idea. We have planes that are flying themselves. Pilots nowadays just kind of sit there most of the time, not doing it too much in the cockpit because it's autopiloted unless there's some intervention is required. And so that's the kind of the trend of where the humanity is going, and it's going to the trend of full autonomous systems that can run themselves to essentially take people out of the things where we don't belong, to be focused on more important things in life, like creativity, being Instagram models or whatever people do nowadays to waste time, and then earn money which in industries that didn't exist before, like advertising consultants, Instagram models, and all this other stuff. That stuff that didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago, that's now become a thing because more and more jobs, becoming automated. And I think there's a lot more creativity that is going to come out in humanity as a result of continuous automation. So where are we going with this, with blockchain? So I believe the same trend of automation has to follow in the blockchain suite as well. We need to see more autonomy in a blockchain side where it can make its own decision and have less human intervention, so we can focus on more important things like building applications that we all use, building systems that we want to actually connect our smart homes with, our cars, our self-driving equipment, integrating with everything, and just kind of focusing more on the secondary integration things than actual blockchain itself. Let that kind of take care of itself. And one of the things that we're doing right now with Velas, we're currently in the pre-alpha stage, which is kind of pretty early raw version of the blockchain, which is kind of like a proof of concept to show that it runs and it's our own mainnet. And now we're going into the phase 2 of rollout. We're planning to have it by the end of April, beginning of May. One of the major reasons we were supposed to release it in January, we had a little delay with the smart contracts rollout. We made a decision in the beginning, which we kind of corrected along the way, and that was to write our own smart contracts language, because we thought it's going to be more easier to work with. However, overwhelming response from developers in the community and people who want to build on our chain, like MindDI is one of them that's already kind of integrating with us at the moment. We're working together in a partnership, and a few other ones that we've been discussing that I'm not at liberty to talk about yet. But it kind of came back with the same overwhelming things, asking us not to build another bicycle when there's those bicycles already available. So we decided to go ahead and use Ethereum smart contract language, which will make it way easier for anybody to transition, because it's sort of already been established as the kind of go-to smart contracts language. So there's no point rewriting it and letting people relearn and readapt their dApps and apps into our system. So that caused a bit of a delay, but we are on schedule now for end of April to roll out the alpha with the smart contracts and artificial intuition system that's going to start analyzing data between all the master nodes or all the nodes on the network. Now, another key thing about our blockchain that is really important to note is most of the blockchains around the world use either proof of stake or proof of work, right? So those are the two kind of competing models. Some have a hybrid of the two. What we're doing is a little bit different. We're introducing a concept called reputation. So it's a proof of stake system with the reputation. The reputation is something you earn by having a relationship with the network, and that relationship is really important and is defined by a few factors. So in real life, what earns you reputation? If you're a person who shows up on time, the person who's responsive and picks up the phone, or reliable, you basically, people respect you and you earn reputation, and then people trust you with more and more things as a result of being there for them when they need to. Same thing with the network. So on our network, you'll be able to share storage of your computer, right? So if you have extra hard drive space, you can rent it out to the network, to those who want to store their files in a decentralized network. That layer is really important for our blockchain because it's not just for storage, it's also for storing other projects' data. So for example, like on Ethereum, you build an ERC20 ecosystem, and you have a smart contract that runs, and then you might be able to have some data collected from the users. You're able to store it on our storage layer that runs in parallel with our blockchain, but it doesn't bloat the actual blockchain itself. So we have like a secondary layer where information can be stored on behalf. And people who provide that storage on our network earn money by providing resources. So you don't always have to be just a master node or a block producer in that sense. You can actually just take your computer and to rent out your computer power. Additional layer to this is while you're doing that, you earn reputation. So if you have a computer that's fast, you have good connection, your uptime is good, You quite, rarely turn off your computer on and off. You don't change your IPs too often. A lot of criteria come together into play, and then it recognizes, okay, this guy's consistent. He's sharing data. He's always online. He's improving his optimal speed, and his relative connection is pretty good, so you get a reputation score for that. And then next thing you check is to see, like, how much money do you have in your wallet? What's your stakeability? Like, what is your stake in the network? And it says, okay, he also has this, and that gives you a score of reputation. When all those things combined, you get into a top 100, you become a node producer, and you start producing blocks on the network. As soon as one of those parameters change, like whether it be your IP address or you've moved coins around, coin age has changed, or you went offline, you lose reputation. So what happens there, a dynamic changeover of nodes on the network, like without having to vote at all. It's just basically the network decides, okay, well, you're not consistent, this guy is, so, get more consistent and come back. And that kind of levels out the playing field and makes it truly decentralized in the sense that you can't guarantee that you'll be a node producer. So you can't buy somebody's slot and become a block producer by default, because as soon as you move those coins and do a few things, you have to re-earn their reputation and start over, which takes care of a lot of things that other, we feel like we fixed the issues that we've seen with other coins that are not addressable. Like for example, like EOS, you vote for your block producer, and as long as you keep getting voted on, you're going to remain block producer. That has a bunch of problems of its own. I'm not going to get into debashing of the coin, but I'm just saying that it leads to a certain centralization. In our system, even when the coin expands and contracts, the people who become block producers in the blockchain change drastically based on their reputation. Now, when we roll out in May the Alpha network, we're also adding another interesting element, and that is something that will help a lot of new developers coming into the scene who don't have access to a lot of resources or don't have that much money to use supercomputers. What we'll allow people to do is you'll be able to rent your resources. So recently we've had some amazing news of new members joining our team. So Z-Lab is one of the teams that joined Velas's development, and they worked on Sbercloud, which is a Russian Sberbank. It's a pretty serious organization. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's an international bank, and their know-how is basically building a system that allows us to share resources over the network. So what we'll allow it to do is we'll allow people to use their wallet, right, and then pay a fee and then access other people's computation power across the network. So then you can train your artificial intelligence or your project or do some quick calculations across the network utilizing the backbone of all the nodes in our network and all the users that are sharing their resources, for which, as a utility, you pay Velas for. And that allows quite amazing things. You're allowed to build more powerful smart contracts that are utilizing, the actual brain power of the distributed networking of the Velas itself, and in a sense, kind of giving it more power and saving costs of having to buy these supercomputers to run advanced calculations or train your artificial intelligence with the cards that you may not have in your possession in your own house. So that kind of gives you the whole world access to extreme computation speeds. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about, because that is kind of the paving way to have new technology being built on Velas that couldn't have existed before. I mean, with all these innovations in the blockchain space over the last 10 years, we've seen the trend that everything's kind of headed towards the future where everything's interconnected, like Internet of Things and autonomous vehicles, all those autonomous systems that are running our everyday life. And our job is to position Velas in that future where we have a coin that can make decisions, truly make decisions, and really improve its own ecosystem, and then provide all the tools necessary for everybody who's using the system to build better technology for the world to advance forward towards this vision. And we're really excited about this project. Obviously we're working day and night on this, and in May we want you all to kind of keep an eye on our project and see our developments. You can see it now. We're not in an ICO stage. We're not raising money. We're just here to present what we're doing. We've already kind of passed all that stage a long time ago. We're now in development, actually release of the product stage. The one thing that I want to note is we're working on right now, and it's something by the release of Alpha we'll have already worked out, but right now we're doing some serious research on, on randomness on the network. And that's, that's sort of an interesting thing that we've noticed. Cardano is doing really well.
By the way, it was great show. I have never seen kind of this show. I thought all blockchain events is so boring, you know. You made it great. Thank you guys. Always come to Turkey, please. Yes, thank you.